Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria of Through the Peacock's Eyes. Welcome to my next vlog. So today I'll be answering a few of the questions that were submitted in my return to vlogging video. And thank you everyone who submitted questions. They're all really good questions, and I will address all of them in videos to come. A lot of people asked very similar questions or kind of overlapping questions. So when I make these vlog videos, I'll be answering them by topic rather than just one person's questions, because otherwise there would be a lot of repeat. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about my relationship briefly, but also, a lot of people have this question: what if my spouse, my partner, my love interest isn't spiritual or isn't on a spiritual path? So a lot of people come up with that question. So we'll address that today. So the very first person who left a comment on my return to vlogging video. Oh, and if you do have a question about any spiritual topic, and I do hope these vlogs are relatable, so about me and spirituality, or just any question, just put it in the comments below. Okay. So Lucy J, thank you Lucy for all your questions, was the first person who left a question or comments on the return to vlogging video. She asked quite a few questions. The one I want to address today is, are you married, and how does your partner feel about what you do? And then DBO asked, I would like to know if there's a Mr. or Mrs. and if they are in the same basic professional field as you are. So yes, there is a Mr. Yes, I am married. No, he is not in the same field. He's an engineer, so very different field. But he is very supportive of what I do. He's totally fine about it. He's actually also very trusting of my intuition. He himself is very intuitive. Though as an engineer, he's very much a thinker, but I'm very much a thinker as well. So in that way, I think we both are very intuitive, but also very intellectual. And so we're a good match in that way. I don't think I could be with someone who wasn't supportive of what I do and didn't to some degree trust in my intuition, because it's just so much a part of who I am. My partner doesn't have to totally get it all. It doesn't have to intellectually understand all that I do, but just have faith in what I do and trust in what I do and be supportive. That's what's important. So getting onto the question, a lot of people, I have a lot of clients, they're on the spiritual path, or they've recently come into, a spiritual path, or their spiritual path has shifted. Maybe they were just strictly religious, and then they realize there's more to it, there's more depth to it, or they took interest in tarot and astrology, and either their partner, their spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend isn't interested in it, or they're single and they're looking for someone, spiritual, or, they've kind of been dating someone, but they're afraid to share this with them. So my advice is first to define for yourself, what does it mean to be spiritual? Does being spiritual mean, when you're looking for someone or when you're with someone, that the other person has to be interested in the same things that you're interested in, such as tarot cards or a meditation practice or going to yoga? Do they need to be interested? And those are actually superficial things, right? They're objects, they're the stuff we do. It's what's behind that has the depth. So you have to ask yourself, what is it you're actually looking for? Are you looking for someone who'll go to yoga class with you? Or are you looking for someone who will talk yoga philosophy with you, or who naturally lives along some of, let's say, the yoga philosophic guidelines? So the 8 limbs of yoga, the yamas, the niyamas, those first 2 limbs are all about how you live your life, basically. So non-stealing and being honest, and, not hoarding, and not, being, saucha is cleanliness, not being a filthy slob, Those are things about how you live your life. So you have to define for yourself, what does spiritual mean to me, for me, and what does it mean when it comes to my relationship or a potential relationship, potential partner? What is it I want them to do? Do I want them to do the same things on sort of the superficial level, or do I want them to be living the depth? So my blog, which I've had for several years, is Through the Peacock's Eyes, and the tagline is Insights for Spiritual Living, and I've been adding that to the vlogs here. And I say that because to me, being spiritual is how one lives their life in the everyday. And this Chinese proverb came up in a reading a few weeks ago where it goes, before enlightenment, I chopped wood and carried water. After enlightenment, I chopped wood and carried water. So spirituality has to do with I guess kind of an attitude, a presence in your living, in your beingness. So when it comes to my husband, he's an engineer. He's never studied tarot or astrology. He's never, gone to a meditation class or practiced meditation. He's gone to a couple of yoga classes now, but he's never gone to, hadn't gone to yoga when I met him. On the surface, you could say he's not a spiritual person. But for me, it's like, it's a deeper thing than that. How does he live his life? Is he, does he try to be kind to others? Does he consider other people's feelings? Is he honest? Not just with others, but is he honest with himself? Does he work to better himself in some way when he's aware of a way in which he can better himself, whether that's mental or emotional or physical? So to me, that's what it means to be spiritual. You don't have to be a specific religion. You don't have to follow a certain spiritual practice or be involved in some sort of spiritual, I want to say some trendy spiritual activity, but is it in the heart? So if you're married or you're in a long-term relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, and you've recently, or the last few years, you've really gotten into, let's say, tarot. And at first it was fun and interesting. Oh, let's see what my week's going to be like. And now you're like really getting to archetypes. You're really addressing shadow aspects. You're looking into yourself and you can see how you are growing. Your identity is shifting. You're expanding as a soul inside this human being. And now you look at your partner and you're like, they're not doing that. They're not growing within. At least not in the way you are. So in that situation, I would say, give them time. But also look at your relationship. Is it a loving, supportive relationship? Does your partner, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend support your process? Can you share your process with them? And though they may not totally understand all of it, are they supportive? Are they there for you? Well, then you have a solid relationship. The other person will grow in their time. We don't all grow at the same rate and at the same time. But if you have a solid relationship of love, kindness, respect, and support, then let your process, your growth, nurture that relationship. Now, if you're in a relationship and your spouse, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend laughs at what you're doing, makes fun of what you're doing, tries to hide your tarot cards with that example, or keep you from meditating. If they're sabotaging your process, then you need to look at the relationship with the person, hopefully, and see if you can improve that. That may require, couples counseling. But if there's not support, if there's not respect, if there's not trustworthiness, if there's not kindness, then you need to look at the relationship and see if the relationship has that solid spiritual foundation. If that can be there, if this is just a temporary, your partner's freaking out because he or she doesn't understand what you're doing, then that can be repaired. But you do need to take a look at it. Is this a true spiritual relationship? And that goes too for people who are, you're single right now, or you just started dating someone and you're looking for someone with that spiritual connection, with that common interest, who's open to growth. So ask, just observe. It's probably easier than asking someone you just met, are you growing spiritually? But just observe, do they treat you and others and themselves with kindness and respect? Are they open to new ideas, open to talking about spiritual topics and not degrading them in some way? They don't necessarily have to agree or understand all of it, but are they open to it, open to discussion, and open to supporting you in your process, whether they are there or not? Okay. So that's just a little bit of how to look at the question, what if my partner or love interest isn't spiritual? What do I do? So again, define for yourself, what does that mean? Again, does it mean you want someone who will go to yoga class with you? Or do you want someone who's living by, let's say, yogic principles? Does it mean you want someone who practices meditation yet doesn't practice what is learned through that in everyday life? Or do you want someone who takes their insights from their meditations and begins to live that? It's not going to be perfect, but they try to be in that state in their everyday life when they're not sitting on the meditation cushion. Do you want someone who does tarot cards to see if he's going to win the lottery every week? Or do you want someone who uses them for insights into his own personal growth or her personal growth? So you have to define that for yourself first. And if you're if you're part of a certain religion, you ask the same questions. Is this person religious because they want to follow certain rules and earn brownie points or gain merits to enlightenment or to get into heaven? Or are they there for their soul's growth, to get in touch with the God within? So you have to define that first. What is that for you? And whatever it is fine, but you need to define that first. And then, if you're in a relationship or you're looking at someone as a potential partner, or, you're just single right now and hopefully you'll meet someone, look at it and just say, does this person follow the spiritual, or what to me is spiritual living? So, are they a kind person? Are they an honest person? Are they responsible for their actions so they don't blame other people and toss everything on everyone else? Do they work on healing their wounds, whatever that may be? Do they support other people whether or not they agree with what they do? So you have to ask those questions. And whether they're all yes or they're all no, or they're sort of yes and sort of no, then you have to determine, is that relationship what I want? Can it become what I want? Is the other person willing, open to grow, at least for the relationship? Or am I really in a relationship where the other person is, controlling, manipulative, doesn't want me to have my own thing? That's a whole other topic, but you must evaluate that as well. Okay, so I hope this was helpful and brought some insights for those of you who are asking yourselves that question. Make sure I answered those few questions that someone asked. Yes, okay, but there's a lot of good questions here, and I will get to all of them. And of course, do leave questions below if you have something you want to know about. You can also go back to my return to vlogging video and see what questions were already asked and see if you have similar ones or totally different ones. But you don't have to do that. And thank you for stopping by. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Do subscribe to support my channel. And if you're interested in a personal spiritual life coaching session or a distance Reiki and shamanic healing session, go to my website, peacockseyes.com, and click the Empress card on the right-hand side or click the link below. Have a great week, everyone.